Okay, there's the cat. You'll be hearing cat interspersed amongst this today because I don't know, he's feeling pretty needy today, it seems. Now, what I want to do is I'm just going to cover some stuff on the tariffs. Okay, so here's what happened. Trump has decided that he's going to put tariffs on like everybody that is our allies in the world, pretty much everyone else in the world. Now we're putting tariffs on. This is a trade war. It's the start of a trade war, and what a trade war does is it escalates as each side you know, put some kind of sanctions on. The next side comes along and takes and removes them. It's wild. But what I wanted to do was talk about why what kind of stuff is going to be affected. They've already yesterday he added Canada and Mexico to the list of countries that we are putting tariffs on. Now these are our closest allies. He also has added. Oh, he also let expire at midnight last night the waivers that the EU, the European Union, had to against these tariffs. So starting today, also everyone in the European Union is going to pay 25% extra for steel and 10% extra for aluminum. Now, why does that matter? What you're going to see is, or what you may have heard, was Secretary Wilbur Ross, really old guy that you can hardly understand what he says. He is Trump just picked him off of Fox TV, literally, and brought him in. And he's always been against trade wars. He's got a long career, and he's always been anti-trade war because and he can give you lots of reasons. You can look up articles and what have you. There's lots of reasons why trade wars are bad, but right now, because Trump hired him on Fox TV, but because Trump hired him, he is saying the opposite. It's really crazy stuff. A trade war is not easy to win. A trade war is just who wins. You know who wins in a trade war? The corporations. The corporations win because they get more money. When the price of stuff goes up, their profit goes up, and that's the only thing that corporations care about in this, crazy world we are in. Now, we're gonna. So yesterday was. He said, he said that this whole thing is going to expand to Canada and Mexico, the NAFTA deal. Now, this is really weird because NAFTA first of all, the fact that Trump, demanded they renegotiate NAFTA, finally Canada and Mexico caved, and they've been working really hard. A lot of, big groups of people are working really hard to make it all happen. And now, and they're they're at the precipice of signing off the final deal to the new NAFTA deal that Trump negotiated. And Trump just can't stand to let he's got a lot of real problems, and he just can't stand to let things go through. So he sabotaged it and raised tariffs right about the time when, literally, if you look up, Trudeau, the guy in charge of Canada, is, they're just hitting us right back. Let's get right into the list of stuff. Now, Canada has already posted a list. I'm looking at a Department of Finance in Canada page. Big page. Notice of intent to impose countermeasures action against the United States in response to tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum products. Now, Canada is like our biggest trading partner, by the way, with this stuff and with a lot of stuff. So on May 31st, 2018, the U.S. announced imposition of tariffs on imports of certain steel and aluminum products from Canada at the rates of 25% for steel and 10% for aluminum. In response to these measures, Canada is going to impose surtaxes or similar trade restrictive countermeasures up to $16.6 billion in imports of steel, aluminum, and other products from the U.S., representing the value of 2017 Canadian exports affected by the U.S. measures. So they're using the 2017 numbers, and they're seeing how it would apply to the new stuff, and that's 16.6 billion. So Canada's going to hit us right back. Now the scope, it's covering several things. Let's see. Here's kind of a list of stuff that I'm going to whip through really quickly. It's a long list, so it's not going to be really quick, folks. Iron and non-alloy steel, semi-finished products of iron or non-alloy steel, flat-rolled products of iron or non-alloy steel. Several different grades of the flat-rolled products. Here's bars and rods of hot-rolled steel, wound or unwound. Brass and rods of non-alloy steel. Other bars of rods and brass. Wires of iron or non-alloy steel. Stainless steel ingots. Here's flat-rolled products of stainless steel. More bars, alloy steel. Let's get down here. So this is a list of the steel stuff, right? The stuff that makes sense. Like if you're going to hit someone, you hit him here, right? Because that's what he's raising the price of steel for them to send steel to us. So they're gonna go ahead and write up the price of steel. But also, they are going to put tariffs on yogurt, coffee, prepared meals, fowl, maple sugar, maple syrup, licorice candy, toffee, other sugary things, other chocolate in blocks, pizza, quiche, cucumbers, gherkins, strawberry jam, nut purees, soy sauce, prepared mustard, soups and broths, and preparations thereof. Take a breath. Prepared mustard. Okay, got that. Waters, including mineral water and aerated waters, gassy water. Whiskeys, manicure and pedicure preparations, hair lacquer. I guess we call it hairspray here, probably. Perfume preparations, organic products, automated dishwasher detergents, adhesives and glues, insecticides, fungicides, herbicides, other stacks and bags of polymers, of ethylene, tableware, kitchenware, household items, plywood. I got to scroll to another page to keep going here. Other paper, toilet paper, handkerchiefs, tablecloths, servettes, bobbins, spools, printed or illustrated postcards, beer kegs, iron sealed parts, aluminum rods, aluminum wire, aluminum, yada, 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 lots of aluminum. Let's go down here and see where we break into other bizarre stuff. Boards, panels, consoles, desks, bases, furniture, household washing machines, mowers, lawnmowers, washing machines, dishwashers. These are what are called durable goods. It's a big part of the U.S. economy, how the economy is measured. Durable goods are things like washing machines and mowers and cars and things that you buy that are going to last a long time. This is where it really hurts people because it's something they depend on for a really long time, pay money up front. Laundry machines, inflatable boats, sailboats, motorboats, outboard motors. This is the stuff that Canada is going to is proposing. Now, here's the EU. Okay, let's see. Do they have a list of all their own? Canada. Okay, did I just hit that one? Yes, I did, didn't I? Okay. I just do this. I'm just winging this, folks, because it makes me crazy, and everybody has a right to know what it's, how we're going to be affected. Okay. So the EU's sanctions include sweet corn, dried shelled kidney beans, maize, corn, round grain, long grain, medium grain, milled wheat, rice, milled rice, wheat rice, long rice, broken rice, holy mill. Okay, so all the rices, sweet corns, peanut butter, cranberries, lots of different cranberries in all different kinds of forms, orange juice in all different kinds of forms, cranberries. Let's scroll down. Bourbon whiskey, cigars, cigarettes, water pipe, tobacco, smoking tobacco, different kinds of tobacco, chewing tobacco, lip makeup, eye makeup, manicure, Makeup for skin, powders, t-shirts, vests, textiles, knitted, crocheted, trousers, breeches, men's. Okay, I'm halfway through the second page. There are 10 pages of stuff that the EU is putting tariffs on. Now, how about China? China is going for, see how many pages China has here. Drats. It's in Chinese. Who expected that? Nobody expects the Chinese immigrant. Okay, I'm getting error messages here, and I'm digressing. This is the thing: is that all these goods are being restricted, and it affects you and me. Trump doesn't go out and buy this crap. He doesn't even know what half this stuff is, or who half the people that work are. He thinks community colleges are vocational colleges. This guy's a guy that sticks his thumb in the eye of everything. And now he's sticking his thumb in the eye of the American economy. It's bizarre because it's us that pay this stuff. We're the ones who pay for the stuff. So now he already hit China, who says they're not going to buy soybeans, and what else is China not going to buy from us? Soybeans, cars, beef. It's like $50 billion. They listed 1,300 goods, 1,300 different goods that China is going to tariff on the U.S. now. There are lists of this stuff that that are already. They include electronics. They include dishwashers, durable goods, medical devices. Stuff that people buy and they expect to last a long time. Soybeans, wine, pork products. This is all announced just on Monday. Steel and aluminum stuff. That's what you'll be hearing about. Okay, so that's China. Now, Europe has already has a list, and now we added Mexico and Canada yesterday. What happened was when he announced these tariffs originally, he gave waivers to our NAFTA partners, Canada and Mexico, and those expired at midnight last night, and he wouldn't renew them. And so now they've already posted lists of what they're gonna how they're gonna retaliate, and it's hundreds of billions of dollars. And the point I'm making is that the things that they tariff are not things that the president or people in Congress even, use or know about or exists, right? Other than they just know that alcohol exists. They don't know that whiskey is all going to go up in price, or on us, on me and you, on everybody. Soybeans, that affects the entire middle of the United States, where the reddest, Trumpiest, happiest people in the whole United States are getting screwed on because of these tariffs. Now, what Trump has said, and what Larry Kudlow, the really, really, really old guy who Trump hired off of Fox TV the other day, they're just living in a dream world that these prices aren't going to go up, and they are. What did they say? They said that distraction. They said this stuff just makes me so crazy, and I really need a bottle of water. So I was talking about Trump and Americans are going to have to take a little hit. Americans are going to have to feel a little pain before everything gets great again. So Americans, this is like in the Midwest, this is like a giant portion of their economy, and what Kudlow's saying is less than 1% of the GDP, so it's really not a big deal. Well, 1% of the GDP is like every farmer, right? Every soybean farmer, and none of the hedge fund guys. It's pretty. When they do these things, it's pretty obvious what they're going after. The EU's wants stuff like Levi's jeans, bourbon whiskey, cranberries, peanut butter, stuff that, we get from them that, we think of as American stuff. But when those prices go up, who thinks that when the tariffs hit and Skippy doesn't go up, but all the other brands of peanut butter go up, that Skippy isn't going to mark up their prices too to match the others? I mean, for God's sakes, these are corporations. This is what they do. They exist to make profit. And so this actually puts more money in the pockets of the business owners and the stockholders and the dividend paying people and the 10% of Americans who own 80% of the stock in the United States. Do you know that? 10%, the upper 10% of Americans own 84% of the stock. So that leaves 80% of Americans only own, I forgot. Let me hit 80% in 10%. The top 1% own 40% of all the stocks. The top 1% own 40%. The top 10% own 80% of all stocks. Okay, that leaves 20% for everybody else. Right? So 80% of the country gets 20% of the stocks to split up. Now, half of Americans, 54%, no, I think it's probably half and half now. Half of Americans don't have anything in the stock market. When politicians talk about the economy is doing great, the stock market's up, that doesn't mean anything for most Americans. The economy's great, but I still can't afford gasoline, or I still have to choose. I mean, gasoline, Trump just killed that Iran deal, violated the Iran deal, and that's marking up gasoline all over the world. And guess whose 100% of their income comes from gasoline and oil? Yes, Russia. Russia is right. All the oligarchs in Russia, the half dozen or the dozen people that own all the money in Russia, they own money because of oil, and they've been hurting really hard because of oil. Well, now that Iran is pissed off and not sending oil, guess who gets to send more oil? Saudi Arabia and Russia. It's so there again. The American companies make more money, and that's all that really matters to these folks. And the normal people can't relate to that, right? I mean, I was 25 or something before I had any kind of job that had security and insurance and what have you. Before the ACA, Obamacare, insurance sucked, and they're trying their hardest to get it back like that. But this isn't a rant about insurance. It's about the tariffs. Trade wars aren't. Trump just tweeted like a month ago. Trade wars are easy to win, he said. No, trade wars aren't easy to win. No one thinks trade wars are easy to win. No one thinks Peter Navarro. He's the guy from UCI. Now, my whole career was at UCI, and I had interface with Peter Navarro. He was in one of the schools that I was working in, and all I can say is I didn't have a glowing, wonderful feeling about how much he gave a crap about anybody but himself. That's all. So this guy Peter Navarro thinks it's a good thing, and now the guys that are, thank you for the compliment, but all I'm doing is talking. This stuff just makes me crazy, because I've been voting for 40 years and paying attention and watching where things go on from. And what's happening right now, this isn't normal in any way. When your parents or grandparents say that this is normal and this is how, you can't trust politicians. Well, that's how it used to be. You can't trust politicians. Now, these guys are just outright lying about things. They're making business deals about things right and left. And the positive thing that's going to come out of it is, most of people in the government and Congress are going to end up in jail. So in the meantime, they're pissing everyone in the world off. Why do we want to tear? What is a positive thing that comes from a trade war? Nothing. Just higher prices for you and me. Does Trump's prices go up? He doesn't know. These people in Congress, they don't know. They're really so detached from reality that they don't understand what it's like to be a normal person. They don't pay for gasoline. They don't have to pay a gas bill, a heating bill, let alone decide whether they're going to pay the heating bill or buy groceries. And maybe now they're just going to eat some kind of crappier food because it's cheap and that's what they can afford. Now they're trying to take away chip, DACA. There's a whole bunch of things they're trying to take away, and I'm going to do segments on all this stuff because it makes me absolutely crazy. The big thing behind it all is corporations and corporate profit, and really the corporations are 100% profit motivated now. This isn't how it used to work. It didn't used to work like this. Corporations, where did corporations... tariffs, do I go into corporations on this rant, or should I do a different one? I'm probably going to cover corporations in everything I do, because that's where the evil lies. Now, what's a corporation? What's an LLC? You hear about these LLCs, limited liability corporation, and they're exactly what they're called, which is a limited liability. Hey, folks, I got to grab a cup of water here, so you're just going to have to bear with me while I do that. Okay. Don't take me all day, but, just a little while. Okay. So, how does this work out? I was going into corporations a little bit. The limited liability, LLCs, you hear about these things. What is it? What an LLC is it's a method that people can use to invest their money into a business, and it kind of was meant to do for other people's business. It's to encourage investment. And during the industrial age, it was really important and stuff, because people didn't have a lot of money, and if they invested their money in a shoe manufacturer, and the shoe manufacturer's shoes, caught on fire and killed people. I know, not likely scenario, but who knows? The people can't sue the investors, right? So investors used to be able to get sued. So if your shoes exploded, your family would sue the investors too. And that, there's a lot of liability there. So they did this LLC, limited liability thing, so that investors can put their money into something, and all they can be out in the worst case scenario is the money they put in. No, nothing more than that. Okay, and that helps other companies start up and get things going, because they can get money a little easier from the people that don't want shoes to blow up. So that all makes sense in a way, but it's been turned into something else. And what it's been turned into is a way for wealthy people to, and it's more, everyone can do it, but why would anyone that's not wealthy do it, right? It's a way for wealthy people to shelter themselves from being liable for anything. And so now the companies and corporations can go out and do really awful things and do whatever they want, right? Because the people behind them aren't affected by it. So if you own, Breitbart News, I'm just picking something randomly. If you own, Times, whatever, you see where I'm going with this, right? You can, the company can make all kinds of weird crap and can do things evil and on purpose, and still the people behind the company, who may be the people that are owners and they put in the money under an LLC, they don't have any liability. And so the worst they can do is lose their money. Well, people need to start going to jail over this crap, right? Okay, so that's what an LLC is. Now, how does an LLC... what's a good example of an LLC? Okay, let's talk about Stormy Daniels, the presidential porn actress gal. You know what? I'm not going to do that here. But the reason I was going to bring it up is because it ties in. It all ties in together. She was paid through an LLC that Michael Cohen set up like a few days before he paid her, and then and that was to insulate himself from everything. So then he set up this LLC, and he made the payment through that. And the LLCs can be set up anonymously, and he was too stupid to set up, or too much of a hurry to set up anonymously. So he put his name on this LLC, and then he didn't shut it down afterwards. So he paid Stormy Daniels $130,000 out of this LLC, right? And then the LLC stayed open and started getting income, and it was getting income like $600,000 from AT&T, $400,000 from one of the Russian oligarchs, I'm gonna butcher his name. So money's come in, millions and millions of dollars have come into that same account, that same LLC, and they've gone out to the GOP, the Republican Party, and that's just something that's nuts. So that's a whole other thing. And the reason I brought that up is because it's an LLC, and they were too stupid to even. I mean, these guys are so corrupt. There's the deal. They haven't been in public life, right? So they're so corrupt that they think the things that they're doing are normal. I grew up poor, so I think that when I think of things, I think of how much they cost or what I can do with them, how long they'll last. And they think of things differently, right? Everybody thinks of things from their own perspective. Well, the only perspective Trump has is himself. Everything you ever see him say or hear, he will refer to himself in it. That's an illness. Okay, LLCs. Okay, so we're gonna end up spending more for less on peanut butter and soybeans and on a lot of the stuff, a lot of steel and tariffs that come in from Canada we use, and then we send it back to Canada again, and then they send it back here again. Same thing with Mexico, like with auto parts. There's auto parts and motorcycle parts we send that are some is done here, and then the part is sent to Mexico to have some work done on it, and then it comes back here again and it gets assembled into the machine that it's part of. Those are all going to go up, and it's not even to pay for his wall. It's not even to pay for his frickin' wall. Right? So now he's putting tariffs on Mexican goods and products and what have you, and he isn't even pretend. That's what he said he was going to fund his wall with after I don't know, anyone who believed him at any point kept going. I don't know. I think I'm kind of done ranting. Maybe is there anything that there's still someone here that you're interested in, want me to rant about or want to know? Here's the thing. People don't spend a lot of time. People don't have a lot of time to spend following this stuff. But you need to know how it affects you and what it does to you so that when you vote, it makes it, you'll make a difference. Okay. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go away and I'll probably do a whole nother one shortly. Have a good day.